Hello, fellow investors and financial enthusiasts. I'm Iggy from the Investing Iguana, your go-to source for insightful investment analysis. In today's video, titled US Dollars Shifting Dominance, Implications for Singapore's Investors, we're delving deep into the evolving dynamics of global currency power. We'll uncover how the US dollar's changing status impacts our investment strategies right here in Singapore. From the U.S. sanctions against Russia to the rise of alternative currencies, get ready for a riveting exploration of how these global shifts could reshape your investment portfolio. The dollar's decline. In 2022, the United States Treasury imposed sanctions on Russia, a move that has had far-reaching effects on the global economy. The primary objective of these sanctions was to destabilize Russia's currency, but the impact has been much broader, challenging the long-standing dominance of the U.S. dollar in global reserves. To understand this, let's first look at what global reserves are. They are assets held by central banks in different countries, typically in the form of foreign currencies, which can be used to influence their own currency's exchange rate or to pay off international debt obligations. For a long time, the US dollar has been the dominant currency in these reserves, accounting for over 70% of them in the early 2000s. However, the US Treasury's sanctions on Russia have sparked a significant shift away from the US dollar globally. Central banks around the world, including those in non-Western countries, have started to gradually reduce their holdings of the US dollar. This means they are diversifying their reserves by holding a greater proportion of other currencies. This shift is significant because it marks a departure from the past when the US dollar was the preferred reserve currency. It also indicates a potential change in the global economic landscape, where the dominance of the US dollar is being challenged. This could have implications for international trade, economic stability, and the balance of economic power in the future. It's a complex issue with many nuances, but at its core, it's about how countries manage their economies in an interconnected world. Emerging competitors. Countries such as Russia and China are playing an active role in the global shift away from the US dollar. They are not merely observing these changes, but are actively seeking alternatives to the dollar for their trade settlements. Let's delve a bit deeper into this. Trade settlements refer to the process of finalizing a trade transaction, which involves the transfer of payments between the buyer and the seller. Traditionally, many of these transactions have been conducted in US dollars, especially in international trade. However, Russia and China are changing this norm. For instance, Russia is increasingly transacting in Chinese renminbi. The renminbi is the official currency of the People's Republic of China, and its use signifies a strengthening of trade ties between Russia and China. This move is part of Russia's broader strategy to reduce its dependence on the US dollar, especially in light of recent economic sanctions. China is also making significant moves in this direction. A prime example of this is its decision to settle gas payments with the United Arab Emirates, UAE, in its own currency. This is a significant development because the energy sector has traditionally been dominated by the US dollar. By choosing to use its own currency for these transactions, China is signaling its intention to reduce its reliance on the US dollar. These actions by Russia and China are clear indicators of their intention to decrease their dependence on the US dollar. This not only has implications for these countries, but also signals a potential shift in global economic dynamics. It represents a move towards a more multipolar world where economic power is more evenly distributed among different countries. This is a complex and evolving situation that will continue to shape the global economic landscape in the years to come. BRICS versus G7. The global economic landscape is undergoing a significant transformation, as evidenced by the rising influence of the BRICS nations Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries have been steadily growing in economic power, and for the first time, their combined gross domestic product, GDP, has surpassed that of the Group of 7, G7, nations, which include Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. GDP is a measure of the market value of all final goods and services produced in a country in a given period. It serves as a comprehensive scorecard of a given country's economic health. The fact that the combined GDP of the BRICS nations has overtaken that of the G7 is a clear indication of a shift in global economic power. This shift is significant because the G7 nations have traditionally dominated the world economy. They have been the largest economies in the world and have significant influence over international financial institutions. However, the rise of the BRICS nations challenges this traditional dominance. The BRICS nations are not just growing economically, they are also seeking to challenge the dominance of Western economies and their financial systems. They are working towards creating their own financial institutions that could serve as alternatives to Western-dominated institutions like the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. U.S. debt and economic challenges. The U.S., despite being one of the world's largest economies, is grappling with a number of internal economic challenges. One of the most significant of these is the issue of national debt. The U.S. national debt has now exceeded the country's annual output, also known as its gross domestic product, GDP. This means that the total amount of money owed by the U.S. government is greater than the value of all goods and services produced within the country in a year. This situation is a cause for concern as it puts the financial strength of the U.S. under scrutiny. The ability of a country to manage its debt effectively is a key indicator of its economic health. High levels of national debt can lead to a variety of economic problems, including inflation and increased interest rates. In addition to the issue of national debt, the U.S. is also facing a shrinking share in global GDP. This means that, compared to other countries, the U.S. economy is contributing less to the total global economic output. This trend indicates a shift in global economic power and could have implications for the U.S.'s influence on the world stage. These challenges are further compounded by issues such as inflation and interest rate hikes. Inflation refers to the rate at which the general level of prices for goods and services is rising, and subsequently, purchasing power is falling. Central banks attempt to limit inflation and avoid deflation in order to keep the economy running smoothly. However, managing inflation often involves increasing interest rates, which can further exacerbate the national debt by increasing the cost of borrowing. Taken together, these factors paint a complex picture for the future of the U.S. dollar. As the national debt continues to grow and the U.S.'s share of global GDP continues to shrink, the value and stability of the U.S. dollar could be impacted. This could have wide-ranging effects on everything from international trade to global financial markets. The ripple effect in Singapore. In the context of Singapore, the ongoing global economic shifts could have multiple implications. One of the most significant changes we might need to consider is the potential decline of the U.S. dollar's dominance in the global currency market. This change could necessitate a reevaluation and possible adaptation of our investment strategies. For instance, our forex investments, which are heavily influenced by the strength of the U.S. dollar, might need to be diversified to include other emerging strong currencies. This diversification could help mitigate risks associated with the fluctuation of the U.S. dollar and potentially offer new avenues for growth and profit. Moreover, these shifts could also impact how we approach international trade and economic collaborations. Traditionally, the U.S. dollar has been the primary currency for these transactions. However, with its declining dominance, we might need to consider other currencies for trade and collaboration. This change could affect our trade agreements, partnerships, and even the way we price and sell our goods and services internationally. In summary, these global shifts could lead to significant changes in how we manage our investments and approach international trade. It's crucial for us to stay informed and adaptable to navigate these changes effectively. Impact of U.S. dollar fluctuations. The fluctuations of the U.S. dollar have always had a significant impact on the Singapore economy, acting as a double-edged sword. When the U.S. dollar strengthens, it typically increases Singapore's export competitiveness, as a large portion of trade is invoiced in U.S. dollars. However, this can also pose challenges, particularly if the strengthening is rapid or unpredictable, as it could lead to higher costs for imported goods and create inflationary pressures. As we move into 2024, we are witnessing a shift in the role of the U.S. dollar in the global economy. This shift is largely due to geopolitical changes and the emergence of alternative reserve currencies. As a result, the Singapore dollar, SGD, could face both opportunities and challenges. Diversification benefits. If there is a global shift away from the U.S. dollar in international trade, Singapore's robust trade relations with diverse economies, such as China and other ASEAN countries, could provide a buffer. The SGD could benefit from reduced exposure to the volatility of a single dominant currency, leading to a more stable economic environment. Investment inflows. Singapore's reputation as a stable and secure financial center could attract more investment, especially if global investors are looking for alternatives to the U.S. dollar. This increased investment could strengthen the SGD, boosting the local economy. Impact on trade. On the other hand, a shift away from the US dollar in global trade could pose short-term challenges in invoicing and settlements. This would require adjustments in Singapore's trade practices to accommodate transactions in different currencies. Monetary policy adjustments. The Monetary Authority of Singapore, MAS, might need to adjust its exchange rate-centered monetary policy in response to these global currency shifts. The ability of the authority to adapt swiftly will be crucial in maintaining monetary stability in the face of these changes. Potential volatility. As the global currency landscape becomes more fragmented, the SGD might experience increased volatility. This could be driven by shifts in trade and investment patterns, and it underscores the importance of being prepared for a more dynamic economic environment. Conclusion. Thank you for joining me in this insightful journey through the changing landscape of global currency. We've uncovered the crucial implications of the US dollar's shifting dominance and what it means for us as investors in Singapore. If you found this analysis useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the Investing Iguana for more in-depth financial insights. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to stay updated on our latest videos. Together, let's continue to navigate the exciting world of investment with clarity and confidence. Until next time, keep investing smartly.